You are listening to the Doc Malik podcast. This show is 100% independent and fully funded by listeners like yourself. So, if you wish to support Ahmed in all that he is doing, then please subscribe to his channel on Spotify or his Substack. Or simply buy him a coffee with a one-off donation, links to which can be found at docmalik.com. Now, let's get on with the show.
Right, Susan. Susan, I know you're comfortable dealing in blood. So am I. I'm a surgeon. Well, I was a surgeon. I don't have a problem looking at blood, but it's funny. It's funny we're doing this podcast now at 2:00 because it was meant to be 9:00 and I forgot to put it in my calendar. And I went on to do a podcast with another supporter sitting opposite me who came into my studio today. And when I log on, I see your face and I'm like, huh? And it turns out I double booked and I forgot to book you in. But you're very kind. You went, it's not a problem, Ahmed. I got the whole day. I took the day off work for you. So I went, oh shit. So we booked 2:00 and I now know why. Because literally 15 minutes ago, I had a postman come to my house with a box, a bleeding box, blood pouring out of this box. Blood on the postman's hand, blood on my driveway. I got one drop on my trouser, but actually I'm actually quite impressed because I managed to just have one drop. And this bloody box was delivered by you. And I think the whole point of me moving the podcast to 2:00 was, without even knowing it, was so that I could tell you now, Susan, I received your bloody box. So thank you so much. Thank you.
It wasn't meant to happen, was it?
No. Sorry.
We weren't meant to get lots of partridge, some venison, burgers, sausages, a couple of ducks, a pheasant. What else was? I think there was partridge breast in it as well. So quite a lot of meals.
I'm sorry. It looks like all that meat's been wasted. The box is all broken, by the way. It's literally crumbling.
And you don't even have dogs to give it to?
No. And I don't want to give it to the fox because the fox ate 2 of my chickens. Don't want to give it to the fox.
Oh, so, no. You don't want to be encouraging that.
But listen, can I just still say thank you, though? Thank you for sending me this amazing meat. Because your husband's a deer stalker or a gamekeeper, am I right?
Deer stalker. He's a glorified deer stalker. He's what they call a forest ranger, which back in the day when he started 38 years ago would have been the proper job description for what he did. There was a lot of conservation and stuff involved back then. They were involved with counting bat numbers, owls, pine martens, all kinds of stuff like that. But now the Scottish government and their part of the agenda is basically just culling every deer that you can see.
That's very sad.
That's very, very sad.
Why is that?
You tell me. A lot of it's to do with rewilding. You know, that we want to put 30% of the world back to its original state, but they're not. They're basically planting non-native trees which grow quickly, can be harvested quickly, and the area is replanted. And obviously this is part of rewilding or whatever you want to call it, but basically it's nothing of the kind. It's just turning large parts of what would have been natural broadleaf forested areas into basically tree deserts.
Yes. And it's funny, rewilding suggests to me that, you have the wildlife as well. I don't see how culling deer is rewilding. It sounds like the opposite. It's unwilding.
Yeah. And a lot of the trees that they're planting, so if you can imagine, I don't know, have you visited the Galloway Forest?
Yes.
Yeah. So it's large blocks of non-native fir trees. So underneath that canopy, because they're planted so closely together, there's no natural sunlight gets through. So below the low canopy is literally just moss and whatever bugs live in it. So there's no actual proper true wildlife.
Yeah, because what you've got underneath that forest canopy is just pines. You've just got pines and nothing else. There's no vegetation. Yeah. It is literally a desert. I know because I used to walk through these trails, on my Duke of Edinburgh, award thing. And it is a desert underneath these. And they're all like planted in a line in rows, and they can be harvested. I mean, but like native trees are Scots pine, aren't they? And birch,
you would have your broadleaves like
alder,
ash,
oak,
birch, yeah.
ash, hazel, willow, rowan, aspen. You know, these kind of juniper, elder, wild cherry, that's kind of stuff. But they don't now, do they? I mean, they're all. Are they not from North America or somewhere else? I don't know what where these trees are from. What are the trees that?
I can't remember the exact. I think it's Norwegian spruce or something like that. Whatever it is, it's not.
Yeah,
It's not
yeah.
native. They planted a lot of larch as well, which basically came to nothing because it's all been diseased and died off. So they're having to clear a lot of that as well.
Oh, man, it's a disaster, isn't it? It's whenever man interferes, things just go pear-shaped. Anyway, well, let's move away. Look, the internet connection is not great, so I'm going to stay quiet a bit because otherwise we end up talking over each other. I can hear the lag time is over 2 centimeters, seconds, which is a bit annoying. But tell me about your experience during COVID. Like, why are you listening to my podcast? Why are you one of the Doc Malik supporters?
Well, I didn't fall for it at all. I started raw feeding one of my dogs about 10 plus years ago. And at that point, I started looking into vaccines for the dogs, and I'd only ever just given ones at puppy stages. And I came across a website called Canine Health Concern and looked at that, read the founder's book, which was The Tip of the Needle by Catherine O'Driscoll. And it documented her journey with her golden retrievers that she had, that she couldn't get past a certain age. And she looked into why. And a lot of it was down to the vaccines and, treatments that they're given, like flea treatments, worming treatments and stuff like that, and the detrimental effect that they were having on the dogs. So that when COVID started, I knew straight away it was a load of rubbish. I didn't wear a mask. I didn't adhere to the rules. I was out walking the dogs for as long as I wanted, whenever I wanted. I was off work for literally 5 weeks, self-employed. Didn't get any money. My mum was bankrolling me. And as soon as Hitler Sturgeon said we could get back out as, what would you say, not essential workers, but we could be out working, I was straight back out. And it was actually good because I'm a dog walker, so I wasn't coming across that many people out in the parks, and it was great because the dogs could just be dogs and enjoy themselves. So that was pretty much it. And I'd been on my own. I was single for quite a number of years when COVID kicked off, so I'd been used to being myself. So it wasn't really like a hardship for me. And I'm quite an antisocial bugger at the best of times, so not seeing that many people was quite good. So no, it didn't massively impact me. It just pissed me off.
Well, I'm glad it didn't impact you that much, but I think the damage is still going on, and it's not just the COVID vaccine, it's everything else, I mean, I look at politics across the border, and I think you're one step ahead of us. The laws have been passed. I mean, the pandemic act that was passed, it's still in place. I mean, it's woke central, transgender, DEI, sustainability nonsense. It's all full steam ahead. You've had a couple of not very nice first ministers. I can't remember their names, but they're Asian, but their rhetoric, if it was a white person saying that about a group of people based on their color, they would be accused of being racist. But somehow these people were able to speak the way they were. I just found it all shocking. I mean, I really despair. Scotland is not the country that I grew up in. I mean,
it's not the country I grew up in either. It's not the country I grew up in either. I'm actually English, so I've been here for 35 years and a lot has changed in that time, and you can slowly see it getting worse and worse. At the very beginning of COVID, I was quite vocal on Facebook about how, the impacts that this was going to have, not just on the economy, but on the kids and stuff like that. And I lost a lot of friends. A lot of people thought I was an absolute screwball. But I stuck to my guns throughout it, and everything that I said is basically happening. And when you start looking into the stuff that's going on behind it, and you start joining the dots, which a lot of people are still yet to do, which is really frustrating, you can see it all coming together and you can see how it's all playing out. I was listening to your podcast with Jenny McCarthy this morning, and I don't know, are these people delusional? I know you're keeping an open mind with regards to Trump, but two wings of the same bird. We know what's happening behind the scenes. We know what's coming.
I'm keeping an open mind, but I'm not on the fence. I'm very wary. If you ask me for a number, I'd say 90% I don't trust Trump. 10% I'm giving him a chance and saying that I might be wrong on this. But my experience is that, you know what, these are all actors. Everything's an act.
Yeah.
Everything we see. And it's not to say that everyone involved knows that they're in on the act. They might actually think that they're fighting an opposition and that they are the right ones and they're, you know, the other side is crazy. Absolutely, I can believe that. But I think the strings, they're all being pulled by the same people. They're all part of the same apparatus. It's the Hegelian dialect. You control both sides of the argument. You control the opposition, and you then have this very, very real conflict and clash between the sides, and you think it's genuine when actually it's all manufactured, it's all deliberate, it's all designed to keep us confused, helpless, hopeless, put faith in the wrong people, and distract us from our real enemy and avoid us understanding that we are the ones in power and have sovereignty, and we're the ones ultimately that need to get ourselves out of this shit show. One of the things I said recently was like, imagine you're drowning, right? We are all drowning in a sea and in an ocean of insanity and madness. Well, Kamala was like being offered a lead balloon. Yeah, I mean, obviously you're not going to grab the lead balloon. You're drowning, remember, you're almost drowning. Well, then when a piece of driftwood passes by, i.e. Trump, yeah, it's pretty, of course I'm going to clutch at that, but it's driftwood. It's not the lifeguard. And the reality is, what we really need to do is just keep swimming and eventually we'll get to shore. But most people don't believe that. Most people don't realize that they just need to swim because they can't see the shore. They're petrified. And they think they're going to drown.
Well, some don't even know
and actually what they
swim.
need to do is, and some don't even know how to, there you go. And actually what people need to realize is the shore isn't very far away. It's actually well within reach, and they just need to have faith. And the reason why they can't see the land is there's just a bit of mist in the way. But actually, it's just like 100 meters down there. You can easily do it. Just tread water, breaststroke, get over it. You're in sound footing. But most people can't swim. Most people panic. Most people are fearful. Most people don't trust themselves. Most people don't have that courage. So they'll grab the driftwood and you're still left out there in the water. That's the best kind of way of summing up how I feel about it, Susan.
But again, like I just said, you know, some don't even know how to swim. So you need to start teaching yourself how to do these things. And I don't believe we've got someone who's coming to save us. We've got that ability within ourselves to do it. You know, and you've got to start gaining the skills and the tools to be able to do it as well. And this is one of the reasons why I love what I do with the dogs. If it comes to Mad Max scenario or whatever, I'm not going to be eating dog food out if I can. I'm going to be able to go and shoot a pheasant or a hare or a rabbit or something and be able to feed myself, you know, along with growing vegetables and, you know, keeping some livestock and stuff. So you've got to start somewhere. And even if you've just got the basic means to feed yourself, you know, you're staying out of their control as well, aren't you?
Yeah, that simple act of being able to grab a hold of a pheasant or a hare or whatever. I mean, well done. I mean, that's 99.99% of the population can't do that, me included. I wouldn't even know how to do it. So when did you learn how to shoot and gut an animal and butcher it? Like, how did you learn all this stuff?
I had a few clay lessons years back, and it wasn't till Ian and I got together properly, got involved with it all. And most women, when they start a new relationship, get things like perfume and jewellery and stuff like that. I got a shotgun and 2,000 cartridges, a petrol chainsaw, an electric chainsaw, and as many hunting knives as I can use. So it was a case of, right, let's get you shooting properly. Lots of clay practice. Let's get you out on shoot day during the season. See what you can manage. Bring it home, prepare it. So when it comes to like hares and rabbits, he just shows me how to gut them, how to joint them. With the pheasants, plucking, you know, taking the crop out of here, removing the innards. And then you would have, if they'd came as they should have, you would have seen some beautifully prepared pheasant and ducks. A lot of people as well, though, and you'll agree with this, we are so distanced from where our food actually comes from. So we go to the supermarket and it's all packaged and it's already done for us, and we don't need to do the gruesome bit, which I don't think a lot of people could even cope with that. You know, if you just presented them with a bird and said, there you go, what are you going to do with it? The first time I got handed a dead pheasant, I had to pick it up with my marigolds. I couldn't even touch it. But now I'm elbowing Ian out the way and saying, right, get out the way and let me do this. I think it's something that probably should be practiced in schools as well. I know there's a high school in Kingussie up in Inverness, and their home economics teacher there actually gets game from some of the shoots round them, and they teach the pupils how to prep them, how to cook them, and obviously then eat the spoils of it. I think we've been nannied into this as well, with the whole convenience thing. We're just so separated from how we used to be. Even 50 years ago, even 70 years ago during the war, when there was very little food and there was rationing, and you had to go out and snare that rabbit or shoot that bird and prepare it for yourself. Because if you didn't, then you didn't have any proper affordable meat on the table. So it's actually quite scary how domesticated we've become, never mind the animals.
Yes. Oh, wow. That's a very powerful statement. Then that's, wow. Yeah. We are domesticated. I mean, where do you get the animals from? We talked about the desert of trees. Are these private properties? I mean, where do you go shooting and get all the pheasants and ducks and, hare?
Ian's son is a keeper up in Perthshire on quite a big estate. So literally which I don't necessarily agree with, because it's a lot of just shooting for the sake of shooting. But at the end of the day, we get to take home what we want as part of our payment for the day. We're actually involved in a very small farm syndicate shoot, which is just 5 minutes from the house. And we put down X amount of birds every year, and we'll probably get about 10 to 15 on each Saturday when we're out. And that gets divvied up between us. The likes of the hares and the deer, and we've got friends who have got permission on local farms to actually, keep in the proper way of deer management, not culling for the sake of it. You're taking out the ones that maybe are looking a bit sick or a bit kind of past their best and stuff like that. So you maintain a healthy deer population, not just, Forest and Land Scotland, their policy is basically anything is game within the season parameters. When you're doing it properly and you're doing it to feed yourself, you're taking what you need, basically, and that's it. So throughout the season, which normally starts on the 12th of August, which is grouse, and ends the 1st of January, we'll basically fill our freezers with what we can get, and that keeps us going for pretty much most of the year.
Wow. I think one day, if I can, I should come up and you should teach me how to prepare all this meat and butcher it. I'd love that.
Ian can show you that.
Yeah, I'm a probationary firearms member now of a club, and I'm hoping to get my license and my own shotgun and whatnot in the next year. And I actually think everybody should apply for a firearms license. It's amazing in the UK. I didn't realize, you can. I didn't realize how many people were shooting, whether it's clay pigeon shooting or whether it's practical shooting. So I'm part of a practical shooting club, which includes shotgun and clay pigeon shooting. It's great. I mean, and as many people as possible should have firearms. Would you not agree with that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
It's a skill and it's a sport. It's fun. And, I would love to be able to get to the point where I can go and shoot, for example, deer. I'd love to do that. I think that'd be great. And butcher it and then fill my freezer with it. I think that's a great idea.
That's the next thing. Ian's had me out with the rifle target practice. So the next thing will be for me to actually go out and shoot one for myself. So I'm doing the whole process from the stalking, shoot it, butcher it, and then cook it.
Amazing. Yeah, and like I said, I think it should be taught at school. Children should not be divorced from where their food comes from.
Nope.
I just feel like civilization is just on this pinhead of just the slightest knock and everything will just fall apart. Most people won't know where to get their food from. Can you just imagine most cities and the rioting and just how crazy things will get when supermarkets are empty, shelves are empty? Most people don't know where they can get their food from and how they can survive. And this is just a basic life skill. And that's why I want to reclaim it. I want to be able to educate my children to do it as well.
I think that's part of why the government are doing what they're doing as well. Because if you're basically culling as many deer as possible, then the likes of you or I who are able to track, stalk, shoot and butcher deer, they're not going to be there if they get rid of them all. I mean, they've banned snares in Scotland now, which was an age-old tradition of, pest control, but also catching food. So I do think they are making it increasingly difficult. And I think COVID kind of helped with that, because obviously during that time, all the shoots were shut down. So there was a problem with sourcing the birds. People weren't out being able to, to do what they enjoy, but also, getting food from that point. And as a result, quite a lot of shoots in the area where we are shut down, never to open again. So you're taking that away from, because shooting has always been like a rich man's sport, a gentry sport. We're just the plebs that enable that to happen. But we also got food from that, and obviously the skills. So I think when you're starting to take away that part of tradition or countryside life, then you're again removing more of the food system, aren't you? So the people who are in the know of how to access nature's larder, then if you're rewilding and then you're putting everybody into 15-minute cities, then you're taking that element of being able to feed yourself out of it as well. And I think that's part of the plan.
Yeah. When you said during COVID, it made you aware of the other things behind the scenes and joining the dots. What did you actually mean by that? Like, what is going on behind the scenes?
Oh, you mean these handful of psychos that are planning to put us back into serfdom?
Yeah. Exactly that. What can you see? What is happening?
It's a bug's life, isn't it? That's what it is when you watch that children's film, A Bug's Life. That's what it is. There's too many of us now. Well, let's face it, with the transhumanism and all the rest of it, they're not going to need all of us at some point, are they? Just the necessary people to work the machinery or whatever else. I think they just, I don't know, I speak with Ian because he only kind of woke up when him and I got together a couple of years ago, and his question all the time is, why would they do this? Why would they do this? And I have to keep explaining to him, Ian, you're not a psychopath, so you don't think that way. You're just a normal, kind-hearted person who would help anybody. And you don't have that mindset that they are psychopaths, aren't they? You couldn't be anything else other than, wanting to kill your fellow man. And there's clearly enough on this planet for everybody. It's just those that I read something the other day, and they're in a scarcity mindset. So it's like, it's all mine, it's all mine, it's all mine. And there's not enough for everybody because I need it all, I want it all. And when, quite frankly, they've got more than enough for all of us.
There's plenty for all of us. And you're right. I say that too. I say, I'm not a psychopath. I don't know how these people think. They're crazy. Crazy people. Listen, Susan, what would you say to everybody? How do we resist everything? What do you see as the way forward? We know about all the problems. Let's hear some solutions. What can people do to fight this insanity?
Stop relying on the system as much. Start growing your own food. Take it a step at a time. Start actually looking at the world around you and what we've got. And as I said before, nature's larder, there's so much stuff. And this is something that I'd like to get into as well, is like the whole foraging aspect of it. Like you, I would like to have, the few acres with the livestock. I mean, that's the plan going forward. Trying to find an affordable bit of land with everything that you kind of need and want on it. That's going to be hard going. But yeah, you and I are of an age where we didn't have mobile phones. We didn't even have a remote control for the television. We were it. So, we start going back to that.
Yes.
We're in a lot of people are in what's learned helplessness, because there's so much stuff that makes life convenient. But is it convenience or just, we've got all these labour-saving devices that our grandparents didn't have, like washing machines and dishwashers and stuff like that. But what are we doing with our time that we are saving from using these things? Are we going out and learning new skills? I don't know if and when I'm ever going to need it, but I bought a spinning wheel a few months back. I had a bout of insomnia one night and I was on Facebook Marketplace and I ended up buying a spinning wheel. So now I've got some sheep's fleeces out in the garage that I've been shown how, because you card the fleece and then you can start spinning, but it's even, okay, I might not use it, but it's still a skill there for something, going back. And I think this is why a lot of people are in this state of nothingness, because they don't know what to do with themselves, because they've got this time and then we just sit on our phones scrolling through crap instead of actually learning how to do stuff. And these are things that you can pass on. You can teach your kids, your grandkids, whatever. and teaching them that not everything comes from a screen or an electronical gadget or machine or whatever. So in answer to your question, it is just going back. It's the same principle as we do with the dogs when we're training them. At some point, you've got to go back to basics for them to be able to do the job we want them to do. So you need to keep instilling the basics in them. And all we need in life really is the basics. So, yeah. But again, you've got to have people who are willing to do that. And how do you encourage people to do things like that?
I think leading by example. When you talk about, what you were doing, which is, well, not quite yet, but maybe stalking, shooting, hunting, killing, butchering, cooking. Man, I'm thinking you guys should run a course. You should run like a 3-day residential or 2-day residential, like, with 6 people or 8 people and do a little workshop. I think it'd be really successful. I'm telling you.
I need to start working on my manifesting skills again to get that. That would be the perfect thing. Ian would absolutely love that, showing people how to stalk, to shoot. I mean, this has been his livelihood for the past almost 40 years. So there's nothing he doesn't know, and there's nothing that he couldn't teach anybody. And he would get the biggest thrill out of doing that. And I think a lot of people would actually get a lot from.
He can practice, because I'll be the first volunteer. He can take me and just practice on me and run it through me, and I'd give him feedback and this and that. And I'm telling you right now, this is what it's all about. It's all about dissemination of the knowledge as well. And I'm sure there's tons of people like me who just wouldn't even know where to begin. Like, where do you even begin? Mm-hmm. Like what, who, where? So I mean, like I said, I've just started shooting. I mean, it's mainly for just target practice, but I just want an additional skill. I want to be able to handle a weapon safely. It's fun. It's just another hobby. It's great. I really, really like it. I have to thank my friend Ian McDermott, who's a knee surgeon, who's got me into it. It's just super duper fun. I just think, but again, like, I'd love to know how to stalk a deer and how to butcher and how to preserve meat and how to cook it. These are just basic skills that man and women, I mean, I'm saying man as in men and women, have known for hundreds of thousands of years, but now we don't. Now we don't. So yeah, tell them to get on with it. I'll come up.
I mean, obviously, once you've got your shotgun license and stuff, we can get you out on the next season at our syndicate for a day. And when I do think a lot of your viewers and listeners are going to struggle with this, but when you shoot your first bird, it's quite exciting. And my first one was Boxing Day the year before last, and I shot a hen pheasant, and she came down and she ran, and I trained up my big springer to basically retrieve any game that I've shot, whether it be dead or wounded. And he watched it come down and he tracked it for probably about 200 yards and picked it, brought it back to me, placed it in my hands, and we ate that bird for our lunch that very same day on Boxing Day. And to go through that whole process of training your dog to be able to do that, and your dog do it well, even if you're not too great with your first few shots, that's the whole point of having the dogs there, because no game is left, and it's not suffering. But to do that whole process from the shoot, as I've said before, shoot it, prep it, cook it. It's so, I mean, you speak about food that's made with love, and I love to cook, and that's one of my love languages, is cooking for people. And to be able to say, I've done this whole thing and I've now presented you with this to eat, and I hope you enjoy it, it makes it taste even better. So I think if we can, next season, once our farm shoot's up and running, we'll get you out and get you out for the day, and you can just go through the whole.
That sounds amazing. Sounds lovely. You know what? I just feel like there'll be some people listening who'll be like, I'm vegetarian and vegan, there's no way I'll be doing this. And I totally respect that, but I'm hoping a lot of people will be listening and be like, yeah, you know what? We need to know where our animals come from, and I think it's much better to eat wild, healthy animals that have not been injected with vaccines and God knows what else than eat something in a supermarket that's all sterile and you don't know where it's come from. It's been in industrial factory farming, unethical. Animals have had a horrible existence. And because the reality is these wild animals like deer and pheasants, they're going to die. They're going to get knocked down by a car or eaten by a fox, or something will happen. So if they've lived a good life out in the countryside and then you kill them and they don't suffer and then you eat them, I think that's great. You know, I just recently found out that that's factory farmed salmon, they take the fish out when they're about this big and they put them on a conveyor belt, they anesthetize them, God knows how, and then they inject them with vaccines. And then they put them back in the factory farm. Like, you're trying to get away from vaccines. And then you realize that, like, the salmon you're eating, like in a restaurant, sushi or whatever, that's been injected with vaccines. Like, wow. So, like, it's
You've
crazy.
got a whole energy exchange there as well, haven't you? I mean, I'm a Reiki practitioner as well as what I do during the day. There's a principle where you can Reiki the food that's on your plate. So you're eating what's the best for your body. You're putting the right intent into it. So if you think about these animals that are factory farmed and the fear that they go through on the way to the abattoir, the way they're dealt with, because the staff are there just doing a job. They haven't raised that animal or that bird. So there's no relationship there. It's just another lump of meat. Yeah. So it's like when you're cooking your food with love, it tastes so much better. So if you're killing these animals with apathy or no, and I remember going out one night with Ian, because when he's working, I go out in a lamp for him, which is basically, I've got a thermal that I'll look through to find deer for him to shoot. And once he's got one and he's shot it, I'll keep the spotlight on it so he knows where he's going. The dogs are out with him to track where that beast has fallen. That's another thing. They've changed the bullets that they use. They used to use lead bullets. Now they're copper, and they're not actually dropping the animals as they should. So the animals are kind of suffering in a sense. So he doesn't agree with that at all. That's a big thing that he's really against. So I've lost my train of thought there.
I think the dog is distracting. He wants attention.
One of the dogs. Yeah, I was going through that whole process.
There's a connection. There's a connection when you get the meat.
That's what I was coming to. So he'll, depending on the size of the beast, he'll be able to lift it and carry it. If it's a red deer that he's shot, obviously these are big beasts, so it needs to be winched in and whatever.
Yeah.
And I had the first night that I was out with him, and he'd shot one, and he'd come back and he'd lifted it up into the back of the pickup, and I was like, can you not show that animal a bit of respect the way you're putting that in the back of that pickup? And he said, but Susan, you don't see what I do when I go out to the animal. And he does this with everyone because, I mean, you should see our house. It's covered in pictures of deer and all sorts of stuff because it's been his living for so long. And he says, I just kneel beside it and I say thank you because it's given him a living. It's allowed him to be able to put food on the table for his kids, you know, and don't get me wrong, we're not wealthy or anything, but we've got a good standard of living for it. He's paid well, but he has that relationship and that respect for that beast that has enabled him to be where he is and doing a job that he loves.
That's nice. Very nice. Reminds me of a scene in Avatar. Suddenly that just popped up in my head. Anyway, listen, look, we're at 40 minutes now. So listen, last question of the day, and take your time answering this. You know, look, you're on your deathbed, surrounded by your loved ones. What wisdom are you going to pass on? What advice are you going to reinforce that you've already told them, you know, before you move on?
It's simple for me. It's just love and be loved and allow yourself to be loved, even by yourself, because we don't love ourselves enough either.
Yeah, I love that. That's very powerful. You know, you can only allow yourself to be loved and to love others if you love yourself. And I agree. Having been one of those people who didn't love myself, you can't do any of the other ones. You have to love yourself. Nope. You have to let go of all the insecurities and all the traumas and all the hang-ups and baggage. I mean, we carry so much baggage, don't we? We bring all the baggage with us wherever we go. We just tie down with baggage. Just get rid of the baggage.
I think that's intentional as well, though, you know.
Yep. Well, listen, you seem very happy. And you seem to be in a good place in the world. And I'm happy that you've got Ian, isn't it, in your life?
Yeah.
I talk about this. It makes me sad when I see how many unhappy couples and relationships there are. And I think this is also how you fight back against the enemy. Have a strong family unit. And that's you and your partner. That's you and your
100%.
kids. That's you and your family, and then that's the basic building block of a strong community. I mean, because you can't have a strong community if you don't have strong family units. It's just impossible. And then once you've got that strong community, that's how you fight back.
Yeah, as you said, it's lead by example. So I dare say there's a lot of people who are fucked up in this world because they've not lived in a happy family. You know, if you're living in a family that's not happy or well-rounded, then you just think that, you know, every relationship you have thereafter, that's the way it is, and it's not. So you've got to be that example. And Ian and I mean, we've only been together for a couple of years, but as far as I'm concerned, this is the best relationship I've ever had. Even if he's buying me bloody chainsaws and knives and shotgun cartridges, you know, we do all these things together, and I think that's part of it as well. To have a healthy relationship is, you know, enjoy each other's company and, you know, spend as much time doing what you love.
Yeah, I think it's healthy to have shared hobbies and activities. And, you know, I hear people who say, oh yeah, you know, they go off, you know, and do their stuff in the weekend, and I go off and do my stuff. And I'm like, oh, okay. I mean, I don't think you should live in each other's pockets, but I think it's good to have something that you do together that grounds you together, and that shared value system. Definitely. Right. Well, listen, the way you talk about him, I think this is, you guys have met each other, and that's it. What I'd love is for Ian and you to send me some pictures, photographs, because when I publish the Substack, I'd love to show what you guys do and how you butcher and how you prepare the meat. I think that'd be really interesting, if you don't mind, just to give some context to the listeners, like what you guys are doing. I think that'd be lovely. And I just want to say sorry on behalf of the Royal Mail for what they did. So basically, it's Monday today, and you were saying this delivery should have been out on a Friday, and now it's arrived on the Monday, and it's clearly...
I sent it on at 2:30 on Thursday the 7th, 24-hour tracked. So you should have had it Friday afternoon, Saturday at the very latest. And it would have been perfectly fine to eat by then.
Yeah, and it's been kicked in as well and bashed about. I don't know what they did. So I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I feel really bad because I hate wasting things. And it looks great.
Yeah.
Like, there's so much meat.
Yeah.
I mean, there must be like £100 worth of meat, if not more. Like, if that stuff was in the supermarket, it's easily over £100. It's got pheasants and duck and partridge and God knows what else, and sausage. It's just amazing. And it's like bloody Royal Mail. So I'm sorry. And literally, it's bloody, by the way. By the way, yeah, he had blood on his hands.
Yeah. Literally, yeah. So, well, I think next time we'll have a look at obviously we'll get some more stuff over the season, because it doesn't end till the 31st of January. So whatever we gather up next for you, I think we'll rethink the whole packaging and courier that we're going to send it with.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Well, listen, on that note, I just want to say thank you so much. Thank you for the coffees and, you know, supporting me. And the listeners should know I reached out to you because you bought me some coffees and you left a lovely message. And I don't know if you remember the message. Do you remember the message? What did you say?
Oh, because I've been listening and I hadn't paid any money for it. And you know, that was one of the reasons why I was listening to you last year. I actually broke my leg. I could have done with your services last year. I tripped over one of the dogs and I ruptured the ligament. I broke the fibula and I broke my ankle as well. So I was laid up for 4 months, and I'm an avid listener to all kinds of podcasts, and I came across you. So I just basically went right back to the beginning and listened to every single one. And I'd subscribed to the Substack, and I thought, you know, I need to buy some coffees as well. So, you know, when you've got a little bit extra, then it's good to give out.
Well, thank you. So having listened to it from the beginning, you've been listening to the journey, the surreal journey that I've been on.
Yeah.
Kind of insane, isn't it?
You're like part of the family.
Well, thank you. Because it's a learning curve, isn't it? It's a learning curve.
So I think, I mean, obviously, it's like everything, and it'll be the same with your shooting journey. It's going to be completely alien to you, and then at some point, everything's just going to click and mesh together, and it clearly has done with you with your podcast. And so I hope your shooting journey is just as good.
Yeah,
you know, you keep at it, you keep practicing. Ian started me off on the smallest cartridges that he could, because I'm not very big. I'm only 5'2", and I've only got a little 28 gauge shotgun because a 12 is far too big for me. And we gradually went up to a bigger cartridge with more steel in it and a bit more gunpowder in it. And I always thought I was a really shit shot, because if I had the cartridges here, I could show you. But the first lot of cartridges are what I call baby cartridges, and then the next ones are a little bit bigger. So I was hitting with the little cartridges, but I wasn't. I would say I was kind of less than half and half with what I'd hit and what I'd missed. And then when I went up to the bigger cartridges, and I've been shooting a wee bit longer now. The last time I was out at the clays, I hit 40 out of 60. Which is bloody good going, considering I've only been shooting a couple of years. And the bigger cartridge kind of factors in that, because you're getting more of a spread, so you've got a bigger area for hitting. But again, it's practice. Practice. And your podcast is testament to that.
I was going to say, the first time I went clay pigeon shooting, I hit 5 clays out of 100. Like, eek, it's hard. It's actually very difficult. Very difficult.
It is. It's getting the hand-eye coordination.
Yeah. I had a bruised ego and a bruised shoulder after my first shot by a shoot. It was hilarious.
Well, if your shoulder's bruised, then you're not mounting your gun properly. Yeah, you'll get there.
I know. It's all improving now. It's all getting better. And listen, I need to go. I need to pick up my little boy. So listen, thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you so much. I really enjoyed this.
Thank you.
And I think it's going to be very interesting for a lot of people. I mean, just discussing the whole nature's larder. It's great. Love it. Please send me the pictures so I can put that in the Substack. And God bless you. Thank you so much for everything.
Thank you.
Hi, me again. You're listening to the Doc Malik podcast. This show is 100% independent and fully funded by listeners like yourself. So if you wish to support Ahmed in all that he is doing, then please subscribe to his channel on Spotify or on his Substack, or simply buy him a coffee with one of the donation links, which can be found at docmalik.com. Now, let's get back to the show.
Yeah, right.
So because I was on Zoom, I know that I had to wear something bright.
Well, you look great. So thanks for coming all the way from Twickenham.
Yeah.
In the rush hour.
Yeah.
You arrived without having to ask me directions or anything. Well done, you got here.
Thank you. Went via the village shop, which was lovely. Little ducks I've seen all the ducks. It was really nice.
It's cute, isn't it?
Yeah. So.
And you said just before I recorded, you said something which made me giggle. What was that?
Yeah, so I didn't get the jab. I didn't take that shit. I'm not having it. And nothing would make me have it at all. I really hate the jab.
Why did you hate the jab?
Because it was a big con. How can you get an mRNA jab in 3 months or 6 months, whatever they did? How can they get all that sorted when it takes years to build all those other vaccines? But I must say that I'm not an anti-vaxxer. I don't believe in the medications very much.
So hold on one second. Are you a virologist?
No, I'm not a virologist.
Are you a vaccine expert?
No, I'm not a vaccine expert.
Are you a scientist?
I've got a science degree.
Oh my God, you might just be an expert. I was going to say, what qualifies you to question the vaccine? How dare you question the mRNA tech? You crazy anti-science. Are you anti-science?
No, I'm not anti-science.
Are you a conspiracy theorist?
No, I'm a conspiracy realist. That's what I am.
Are you a climate change denier?
I think it's a load of rubbish, climate change, actually.
Are you racist?
No, I'm not a racist at all.
Are you sure you're not a white supremacist?
No, I'm a white supremacist.
Maybe you're misogynist.
Maybe.
Because if you question the mRNA tech, you're kind of fall into all those categories, don't you?
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. And it was really, really difficult for me because...
Come on, just admit it. You're just stupid.
Well, I've been following this for a long time. So back in 90s, 80s, Andrew Wakefield was my wake-up call. So I followed Andrew Wakefield with the MMR vaccine. And the minute that they threw him out and got rid of him and all that, I knew that was wrong. Because I've done science and stuff, you don't throw somebody out just for doing something wrong. And I've listened to the women that had the autism.
And he didn't even do anything wrong.
No, he didn't do anything wrong. So I followed his podcast for a while, and he's a great guy. And, I think he's fantastic. So I followed him. I didn't get my children after that, the MMR, but apparently one of mine has had it. I think maybe his dad gave it him or something. But I didn't give them any of my children MMR because of that. And then further moving forward, I've got 7 sons.
Wow.
Yeah. And one of them...
Congrats.
Thank you. They're pain in the bum sometimes. But they're lovely. Love them all. Love you all if you're listening. Anyway, so the boys, one of them had an anaphylactic reaction, 18 months old, to peas. So I was an allergy specialist, and I was like, that's weird. Anyway, then my youngest one wasn't that well when he was born, and he was in Great Ormond Street and things. And I gave him his first tetanus, whooping cough, diphtheria. I gave those because I was like, oh God, you've got to have those, that you'll die of those things. Measles, I don't think you die of, so forget that. But, and it's good to build up your immunity. Well, unfortunately, I gave him that first vaccine, and he had an anaphylactic reaction on the day he got it at about 8 weeks old. Hives everywhere, lip swelling. I rang the hospital, had to deal with him with an anaphylaxis because they did it wasn't just the 3-in-1. They added meningitis and all this. And I was like, what's going on? And I knew, because I was breastfeeding him, that the only thing that had changed was the vaccine. So I was like, what's going on? They didn't report it on the yellow card thing, and they didn't do any of that. Nobody will have it that's what it was. But my child never has had another vaccine since. And, he's grown out of the milk allergy now. It was awful, breastfed. I had to go into hospital and have my breast milk tested.
What?
Yeah, at St Mary's Hospital. And he was even allergic to me drinking milk. So I couldn't even drink a cup of tea and kiss him, or else he'd have a reaction from that first vaccination.
Wow.
So don't tell me they're any good.
Yeah, and you know what? I hear this all the time. Just over the weekend, someone was telling me that the reason why he's not vaccinated his son is because his daughter with the MMR actually had just like a seizure. Just went right in front of him. And it was like, what the hell is going on here? And he went, well, that's the last time I'm jabbing my kids. And a lot of people tell me things like this. And I feel like when it comes to these jabs, I'm not an anti-vaxxer. I'm just not pro-toxins.
No,
I don't want my kids injected with anything that they don't need.
No aluminium.
I don't want mercury and aluminium and
thimerosal or something. Thimerosal.
Yeah, exactly. And PEG and sorbitol, whatever, I don't know, whatever, detergents and God knows what else, and garbage is inside there, and genetic fragments. I don't want any of that. And kidney, liver, dog cells, monkey, just gloop, whatever this, I don't want them to have that. And that's my position. And it's amazing how many people tell me about this, and it's not picked up by the doctors. There's no yellow cards. And I feel like with these jabs, you're playing Russian roulette. And you know how normally in a gun, there's a chamber of 6 rounds or something. Okay, maybe it's not 6 rounds. Maybe it's 20. Maybe it's 50. Or it's 100. And you never know. And it might not kill you, but it might make you have lifelong allergies, autoimmune conditions, anaphylaxis. It might cause ADHD or autism or something. Now, who would put that gun to their kid's head and pull the trigger, knowing that there's that 1 in 100 or 1 in 50 or 1 in 20 chance that, you know what, you're going to cause a problem in your kid?
Exactly.
That's the way I look at it.
Well, that's how I look at it as well. It's like, and that is a supposed very well tested polio and all that thing. I had a homeopath come round, and she said it was the polio part of it, and she gave him some homeopathic thing, and obviously he's grown out of the milk allergy now, and it's fine. But if that's a well tested vaccine, to tell everyone that's 3 months tested or whatever is going to be really good, I am not having that. My younger 2 children, who are still at home, didn't get it either. I didn't give it them. They wouldn't have it. Well, they may have wanted it. They think I'm a bit mad, actually. I'm not giving it them.
What, you mean the childhood vaccines or the COVID?
No, the COVID. They've had no more vaccines.
Great. And what about your other kids? Did they have the COVID vaccine?
I think they did, yeah. It's sad.
How does that make you feel?
Really gutted, actually, because I think it's a load of rubbish. And it was really upsetting because it's just a rubbish thing to put into people. All this stuff into you, you know. So, but you have to let them go and do their own thing and, you know.
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny. Now I look back and I can talk about my wife getting her shots and booster, but, you know, at the time I found it very stressful. You know, I was like, this is a serious violation of your
Human
bodily
rights.
autonomy and rights. Forget human rights, your rights, your individual rights. And also I just felt like, you know, something might seriously happen to you. We just don't know. And now it's transpiring. Like there's turbo cancers, there's cardiac problems, there's autoimmune conditions. Like I said, it's that Russian roulette. Like seeing your loved one have a gun put to their head and you just don't know when you pull that trigger what's going to happen. It's fracking stressful.
It's so stressful. It's really terrible. And the thing is, so I didn't get the shot and I last year got cancer. So I had breast cancer. Fortunately, because I haven't had the shot, I didn't have the cancer progress. But I was it's a very weird story. So I had found this lump. I went in and they checked it all out and everything. And it's a grade 3 aggressive cancer, blah, blah, blah. And you can do a lumpectomy, which is where they take a little lump out. But they didn't do the lumpectomy because I didn't want it. I wanted the mastectomy. And the reason I went for the mastectomy was because if they do the lumpectomy, they have to give you chemo and radio. And I don't want that shit. Sorry, swearing. Excuse me.
So
yeah, I don't want that in my body. So I went for the mastectomy so I didn't have to have chemo and radio. But then they kept me going 9 weeks after, deciding if I needed chemo, which was horrendous. But there was something interesting happened. So from the moment I found out I had the cancer, they told me I had to stop HRT. I was on HRT. So I stopped the HRT immediately. And so it was about 5 weeks, the whole process. Within those 5 weeks, the lump disappeared and went down. And so when they took the lump out and had the mastectomy and they did all the cutting, slicing of the thing and everything, it appeared that the cancer had died. And so it had done something necrotic, something or other, and all around the edges it was dying off, was this cancer. So it was like, was it really cancer? What was it? All this. And anyway, so I stopped the HRT and I said to them, why do you think that the cancer has died? Because on the pathology report, it says, has this patient had chemo? Because the tumour's shrunk and dying. And they never answered that. And when I said to them, why do you think this cancer's died? Nobody's testing me or anything. And it's very rare that your cancer dies. They said it's because I stopped the HRT. Like, hang on a minute. So you gave me HRT and now, you know.
Do you know, it's so funny. I'm going to be getting a guest on my show who is talking about estrogen.
Yeah.
And how estrogen is driving breast cancer. And estrogen is driving all the problems of our boys today.
Exactly.
It's big.
It is big. It is big.
I can't believe, like, yeah, it's literally, I had an email, I'll show you. It's like, she's like, come on, let's hook up a call and let's organize the podcast with you. So yeah, it's fascinating. And that's the thing. We're messing around, taking drugs and hormones, and we don't really know what the implications of all this are.
No, we don't. And I thought that the HRT would be, you know, quite, you know, good thing because it's good for the bones and all this, that and the other. And they say it's okay. First it was cancer, then it wasn't, then whatever. And then now they're giving it to women. All my friends, I say, don't take it, but they all take it. And I'm like, you just can't just take one pill.
Yeah.
And I'm quite small. So my size and somebody who's tall and big, how can you tell how much they need? If you do Nurofen, say, for example, there was Nurofen for children when they have a cold or something, which I wouldn't give them anyway, but it's dosed on the size. So you have to weigh the child.
Yeah.
So you weigh the child, they can have 2.5 mil. If you give them a bit bigger, they're 5 mil. So why is it that when you give them estrogen, you just give all the same dose to everybody? And it shouldn't be the same, should it really?
No. So I'm just reading at the Instagram post. This is it, Dr. Wendy. Estrogen free on Instagram. You can
Estrogen free.
Estrogen. She goes, hormone balance. Breast cancer prevention is easy. Remove the root cause. Estrogen.
Estrogen.
Ask yourself, why do doctors give you more estrogen? You can't treat estrogen dominance with more estrogen.
No.
Avoid estrogen fads. Ashwagandha, licorice, astragalus, milk thistle, bioidentical estrogen, black cohosh, mistletoe, CBD, hemp, primrose, red clover, turmeric, lavender, flax. Breast thermography research proves all estrogens increase risk of breast cancer.
Yeah.
Your breast can't lie. Wow. Estrogen deficiency is a lie. Don't go to hormone specialists. Don't follow hormone protocols. This is what Dr. Wendy is saying. Just remove the cause, estrogen.
Yeah.
Wow. So even things like hormone flax apparently causes estrogen dominance.
Yeah. Turmeric, all the things. And plastic. Plastic is the biggest. It leaks into... So if you have the water bottles that are plastic water bottles...
That's a glass one.
It's a glass one, yeah. But there's the microplastics, there's the leaking of estrogen from the plastic bottles. So the plastic bottles, you don't know, you might say it's been kept cold, but if it was left in a warm lorry or something, it's leaking estrogen. And some of the plastics that they've got, so they've done away with the BPA ones, but the new ones leak just as much estrogen. So, I used to get all my food, prep it up, cook all my food, put it in those plastic containers from the takeaway. Shouldn't it, you should never have done that,
Yeah, no. But you're trying to stop waste and save money. And
And I didn't. And then it's rubbish because then I've been doing all that healthy and then I've got all these plastic things. And anyway, I threw it all out. I've got glass Pyrex now for my lunches. I've got a glass bottle to drink from. I drink from glass cups. I try not to use the paper disposables. Obviously, you do. But
do you know even the coffee cups are lined with this plastic?
Yeah.
So you get your paper coffee cup and think, oh, yeah, I'm drinking my coffee. And it's all lined with plastic.
It's all toxic. It's all toxic. So, and I thought, right, well, I'm going to try and cut out plastic. And I went to the supermarket. The broccoli is wrapped in plastic. Everything is wrapped in plastic. The meat is in plastic. Yeah. I was like, well, I'll go to the farmer's market. Went to the farmer's market. It's all vacuum sealed in plastic. You can't get away from it. And it's really, it's killing us, the plastics. So they leak estrogen. You've got the water with the microplastics in it. So since you said about it, I've actually got one of these water distillers and I'm really delighted with it. It's fantastic. It's like...
Guys, I'm going to plug it in. Go to Water Pure. And I think the code is Doc Malik at the end. And basically, you don't get a discount, but I get £20.
Yeah. I've been giving everybody, I've actually been promoting it to all my friends. So I've actually... given your code because I couldn't work out my code at all, but I give your code for you. So you get every time somebody buys it, you get one. So yeah, that's what I do. So I've had a couple of friends that have bought them. It's amazing. The water's clear. The bottles don't get dirty. It's like, wow. And the stuff that comes out, it's disgusting.
The crud at the bottom.
Yeah.
So guys, it's www.waterpure.co.uk/Doc Malik. And that's it.
And it's the best thing that I ever did, buying that water thing. So that you have to look at the things that affect you the most, I think. So I've now changed to bottled milk. So I get my milk delivered in glass because that's in plastic. I have water that's purified, and that's the kind of things I'm doing. But it's really, really difficult to stay away from it. You just have to try.
It's everywhere.
It's everywhere. You just have to give yourself not a hard time about it.
Exactly. Just minimize as much as you can.
yeah, that's the thing.
So tell me, you're also telling me you're used to the presentation, Zoom and everything like that, because what was happening during lockdown?
Oh,
Tell me about it.
Lockdown. So on lockdown, I teach dancing to children. So I see loads of children all week. Peripatetic, I know that now. So that means you go to different places and teach rather than you are in one place.
I didn't know that.
No, well, I didn't know that till lockdown, till that furloughy thing, which I didn't get, I must add. So I was a PAYE with some people, and with other people, I was on self-employed. So because I was a bit of both, if you had 50% self-employed or something like that, you didn't get the furlough and you didn't get the grant. So I got nothing because the people I worked for was 0-hour contracts. They don't pay you. And the other people, they didn't pay me. So nobody paid me. So it was like off the edge of a cliff, and I was devastated. I just didn't know what to do. I wanted to, jump off a bridge or something for the first day or two. Cried for about 4 or 5 days. Then what happened was I can deal with this. I'm strong. I can deal with this. And I thought, what can I do? So Joe Wicks was doing his thing.
The exercise.
Yeah.
And everything.
So I do children. So I said to Ealing Council, who I'd worked for at the time, I'm going to take this online. Would you support me and all this? And so we took the classes online. It's the same week the same day that Joe Wicks started, I started with children online. And Ealing paid for the free classes that they were providing at the children's centres. So that was fine. That went online. Had about 90 people all on Zoom, all these children.
Oh, wow.
It was really great. It was really good. But I learned, you have to put on the makeup. Everyone's lying in bed. I had to get on the makeup in the morning, set up the studio lights and on my laptop and try and get, people to watch. So that was fine. On the free classes, everybody joined. Then I thought, well, I could do some other classes. So I did ballet. I did other things that I could do. And it was £4 to pay for a class. And to get the money out of anybody for the £4 ones, people just didn't come to the £4 classes, Like they wouldn't pay it. We don't have enough money. I actually had no money, nothing, nothing coming in. And, my husband works for Virgin and he's on, he's not got as much now. But, I had 0. So I didn't get very many people.
It's so tough, isn't it?
It's just impossible. I mean, there was 90 people and there were all these people and they just wouldn't pay any money, So
there's the same, by the way, the conversion of the number of people who listen to my podcast and number who support is
it's ridiculous.
And I don't think some people just I'll give an example. I got a message today from a new subscriber. Where are we? I'll read it out. Kevin Trye. Trye. Big fan since you started your journey. Caught up with Robin Kelly, who's a doctor in New Zealand, who's been on my podcast. Who caught up with Robin Kelly today, which reminded me, brackets again, to subscribe and give back something for the wisdom you and your guests have shared. So after 18 months, he subscribed. So Kevin, better late than never. Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah. And I just think some people just, everyone's busy. There's so many people to support, and it's tough, man. It's tough. It is tough nowadays.
I'm sure.
But there are equally people who are paying £5 a month, £5 a day, a week for their soy latte frappuccino something from Starbucks.
£4.50 for a light Nero or something. No, seriously.
Do you see what I mean? And it's like, what are you putting inside your body? Is it really worth it?
That's what I was like, you're paying all this money for something else and you can't pay it was only £4 I was charging. And they were like, I did have regulars. I had some followers and they were great and they did subscribe and, but some people are like, oh, she really likes this class. And so I'll give it them free because I was like, trying to support them through COVID, but they were, but it did make me a lot of points in the bank.
I do that. So I get quite a lot of unsubscribes and it's like, sorry, I can't afford it anymore. Things are tight. I had one over the weekend and so it's fine. So what I do is I go, I'm going to gift you 3 months as a way of saying thank you.
Yeah.
and I hope things get better for you. Because I used to even do that when I was a doctor.
Yeah.
As a private doctor, I would see, 15 to 20 patients a week. And then, someone would say, "Oh, doc, I'm sorry, I can't come. My insurance won't let me see you and I can't afford." So I'll let you know how the operation goes in a year time, but you've just had a major operation and the insurance company is literally paying for one post-op appointment. Like, how do I know? How did the patient know? So, and they can't afford it. Like, it's through their work. They're not. And I'd be like, you know what? Come back in 6 months and I won't charge you. It's fine. So I would do that kind of stuff because I just think the more you give out in the world,
I think
come back.
I think that's really the right thing to do, really, because that's what I was doing. And that's why when I do dance classes after school and some children can't afford it. I go, yeah, they can come, their parent can't afford the class,
Yeah.
You've got to give a little bit back, I think, sometimes, you do need to, I think what you give out, you get back.
And was it tough then going through that whole...
It was horrendous. So I worked then at the COVID test centre.
Oh, shit.
Didn't get COVID. No, I didn't get COVID. Didn't have the jab. And they did. I had to shove these things in the windows of people, like shove COVID test, load of rubbish. And we, oh gosh, I shouldn't really say, I don't know if I say it on the podcast.
Say it.
Oh my God. So we were making up the packs in the car park in Twickenham, like packing up all these sterile packs in the car park, putting them together and chucking in people's windows.
So what do you mean you're putting together these sterile packs? So they weren't sterile?
Well, probably not really. If we were making them up, I shouldn't imagine.
What do you mean you were making them up?
So we had to put the little packets together of stuff, we had to put the swab in, then there's some juice stuff and some other thing, and we had to throw all these packets together and we had to make them up for them to go into the car windows and things. So we did all that.
Or were they already packaged and sealed, or were they...
Some of it was, yeah. Some of it.
Some of it wasn't?
Some of it wasn't. Some of it was, some of it wasn't. Anyway, so we packed it up, threw it in the car windows, and, people coming in with COVID, and we didn't get COVID. So, how viral, how spreading and bad is it really,
So you're working in a COVID test centre.
Yeah.
Dishing out the tests.
Yeah.
How long were you doing this for?
Just over a year. But I had friends worked before that, so they were about 18 months.
And you never once got COVID? And your colleagues, they never got... All these people coming through, thousands of people getting COVID testing.
I didn't get COVID then. I got COVID when I went to a party in 2020, December 21. I went to a party and everybody at the party got it. But we got that Omicron-y thing. And it was just like a bit of a cough, really. And got a bit of a cough. I didn't lose weight. I just ate a lot.
How much did you get paid to do that COVID testing thing?
Just a normal wage, just normal like £14 an hour, something like that. So that's what we were paid.
Because how much did they spend on that track and trace? 28 billion? 38 billion? Billion.
Yeah. And where
did that money go?
I don't know where that money went. And we didn't get paid an awful lot. We just got paid. We worked at a booth and they drove in their cars and we had to read them what they had to do with the test. I mean, I just was desperate because I needed some money. So we did this. And then they would come through and then they do their test in the car park and then post it in at the other end with it. We had like a cardboard box. They chuck it in and they wind their windows down and they're like, we didn't get COVID. The people at the test centre didn't get COVID. We were all in cabins of twos. We were only allowed to have two in a cabin, and all that rubbish. We had our masks down and we were supposed to wear our masks all the time, but we wouldn't wear. They were a load of rubbish. The masks are rubbish. Like, ridiculous. And then they come to, you've got to wear gloves for every new person you do. You've got to change your gloves. So we just would we wouldn't even wear gloves, but then we had to put on a pair of gloves, chuck them off every time somebody come. I don't know what that's all about. I mean, what we were doing was throwing packets in windows and it was just pathetic. And then they decided to do a vaccine drive at Twickenham Stadium. And they had people queuing around the block all the way to Whitton, millions of people. And they were really pushing for us to have it. They were pushing for me to get this vaccine. Oh, everybody must get it. I was like, I'm not getting it. I'm not getting this vaccine. And a few people that worked at the centre who didn't want to get it. So there was a friend of mine he took the vaccine. He didn't want it, but they were really coercing. It was really forced on you. And he got it. I wasn't getting it. I was like, no, I'm not getting it. I'm allergic. I'm not getting it. So I used any excuse I could, but I'm not getting it, you know. That's it, really.
Wow.
Yeah. Dodgy, though.
Did you see, were you working there when they were rolling out the vaccine?
Yeah.
Did you see anybody get allergic reactions or problems?
I didn't work on any of the vaccine part, so I didn't work on giving out vaccine. I just did I was just on the testing, but on the vaccine part, I think they had to have people there because in case they had allergic reactions at the time. I heard of loads of people that had problems, you know, but you know, it's just disgusting. They shouldn't do it. They shouldn't give those vaccines to people without them, you know, being allowed to have a choice of whether they took them. People took them because they wanted to go back to work. So
but the government says they did get choice.
No, there was no choice at all. You like if you do. So I was really worried because obviously I had no money. I had this £4 thing coming in. I was working at the COVID test centre, chucking these things in people. They said everybody at the test centre has to be vaccinated. Everybody working there. I was like, well, I'm not getting it because you're an NHS worker then at that point. I'm like, I'm not getting it. I'm just not having it. But, you know, I said, I've got allergies. I can't have it. I do have allergies. I can't have it. But, you know, it wasn't too bad enforced on the COVID test centre. But I felt very heavily pressured to actually get it. And it was like, no, I'm not getting it. Not having it.
And when you say you've heard people have problems, what, at the test centre or just in your life socials?
Everywhere. So I had a friend I was talking to the other day. She had her friend's mum had the first shot, the second shot. On the third shot, she died 3 days later. And
but that's just coincidence.
Yeah, allegedly, yeah. But you know, but if you died of anything COVID related 28 days after, it's like, you know, it was like COVID. Broke your leg, it was COVID.
Stop being so you know, inconvenient with the truth. You know, we don't want to hear this stuff. Yeah,
it was so rubbish. It was just like, you know. And as soon as everything opened, that's when people got it. So my dad got it actually quite bad. He died this year, but he got it quite bad. And I'm listening to all these podcasts and different things. And like one of the things, he got the COVID, he went onto a CPAP machine. This was later on. He got through it after about 6 weeks in intensive care. And then he came home and then he got sepsis of kidneys and things. And I was thinking, I'm hoping they're not giving him, I don't know because he's died now, but I was listening to something about the remdesivir and the kidneys. And I'm like, I wonder if they gave him any of that stuff, you know, like, you know, because the protocol, what they did was dreadful. I think they just poisoned them and killed them off.
They did.
Really.
These drugs were awful.
They're awful. I mean, and I do know, so a guy I worked with, he got COVID quite badly. I do believe there must have been something, you know, but it probably wasn't that deadly. Might have been deadly I have to say, it probably was deadly for older people because probably the way they treated it in the hospital, I think, the way they treated them, they didn't treat them properly. I think if they'd given them vitamin D and if everybody had high vitamin D levels, you'd have probably been a lot better. I had coincidentally a very low vitamin D level in 2018 and I'd had a dreadful cough. I didn't know what it was. And I've been to the doctor and they did the test and it was vitamin D. So I've been taking a lot of vitamin D to up my vitamin D levels. So when COVID came out, I didn't really get it bad because I didn't really have low vitamin D, I think, realistically. I think that's what it was.
I think you're right. Vitamin D was a big factor in all of this kind of stuff.
Yeah. Horrible. It's horrible. People were like, terrified if somebody coughed or so. And I'm so glad because I had this coughing thing like in 2018. It was horrendous cough. It was like a bronchitis-y cough. But it was from acid reflux. So you get acid reflux in your stomach and that can cause a cough. And nobody could diagnose it. I went to the doctor. They gave me every medication under the sun. So I had antihistamine. I had everything, you know, everything. Histamine, steroids, nase drops, I don't know, everything. And I Googled because I was noticing it was when I was drinking coffee and Coca-Cola. Don't drink Coca-Cola anymore. Don't drink Coca-Cola, it's poison. Anyway, so I drank Coca-Cola and I was coughing and it was in the summer and I was like, what makes you cough after Coca-Cola and coffee on Google? It's your stomach. It's the acid thing in the stomach. It's a problem with that. So my mum and dad had bad heartburn and things. And I was like, I don't get this. I don't get this. But it genetically, I'm going to get some kind of a heartburny thing. And that's what it was. So I got it under control, and I don't take any drugs for it. I don't take any proton inhibitors or anything like that, because initially I took them for a couple of weeks, got it suppressed, and the cough went away. And now I changed my diet. So.
Yeah, you say it's genetic, but it's also, if you and your family are eating the same thing and have the same lifestyle, it's likely you're going to develop the same problems. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I think you can blame your genes for maybe 2 to 5% of things, but most of it is your lifestyle and how you live your life and what you eat. And the reality is, the reflux, a lot of it is because of your diet.
Coca-Cola,
SIBO. If your gut, you get this small intestinal bacterial overgrowth.
Yeah.
And then people are taking proton pump inhibitors, which is ridiculous because your stomach's meant to be acidic and you're stopping it from being acidic. And then that's not great. That causes problems, delayed gastric emptying, reflux, bacterial overgrowth, stops your upper intestine being sterile. It's just not good. We mess things up. Almost everyone is now on a statin, on an SSRI, and a proton pump inhibitor. Have you noticed that?
Yeah.
It's just like all these smarties just giving out to you.
Give you that.
Here, take it. And it's wrong.
And those SSRIs, they're dreadful. The SSRIs are just so bad. So I had a friend on an SSRI. Awful. So she tried to come off the SSRI, and then it made her so upset, she was quite suicidal coming off an SSRI that's supposed to stop you being depressed. I mean, what is all that about, And then those proton pump inhibitors, they just suppress all the acid. So it's the diet. So I was probably eating a load of rubbish on the go, probably pork pies and, there were a few Cornish pasties and Coca-Cola, really healthy diet. So I don't do that anymore. I don't touch any fizzy drinks like that. So I gave up drinking alcohol in 1996 and stopped. And so I was drinking a lot of Diet Cokes, and, that also probably contributed to the cancer and the things like that. So don't touch those fizzy drinks and stuff. It's just toxic.
You brought kefir today.
I did.
Why did you bring that?
Because it's really great for the gut health. So it's of all the gut health things, it's the most prolific. So it has billions of bacteria. So you can make it very easily. And they sell it you in the shops in those plastic bottles as well. But they sell it you in the shops, and it is so easy to make. You just get the grains, you put them in the milk. And then the next day you've got kefir, you drain out the grains, you drink the milk, you then put it in. So my mum, sorry, I'm just readjusting my headphones. My mother had a spot on her face that was she's been having treated for 10 years, which looks like cancer. They were saying, it might be a melanoma or something. Anyway, they've done the test and it's not. She's had all these creams. When my dad died in July, I took the kefir down to my mum. My mum was a bit upset and everything, obviously, but she started doing it, and she drank the kefir from July till about September. And this spot on her face is a big, massive spot, about 50p. Gone.
Wow.
From the kefir. So it probably was a fungal infection or something like that.
Do you know, look, if you said this to me a few years ago, I'd be like, crazy person.
Yeah.
But the reality is, you eat things and you can get blotches in your face and you can get immune reactions.
Yeah.
Your gut isn't just your gut, it is your immune system. And how it's modulated is by what you eat and what bacteria in there. I mean, the bacteria is determined by what you put in your mouth.
Exactly.
So I'm open to all of this stuff now. So thanks. So I'm going to start using the kefir. So thank you very much.
Yeah, try the kefir. So let me know how it goes. Let me know if it's going to make any improvement to anything. It's really good. It's very good for, getting you go to the loo and things like that as well. You can't have too much to start though if you're not used to the bacteria. Got to take it a bit easy to start with.
Yeah, no, I get that. So listen, tell me something. Have things improved in your life now since the plandemic has kind of fizzled out a bit? I mean, do you think things are back to normal? Do you think the world is amazing, or it's kind of crazy, isn't it?
It is. It's kind of crazy. It's really crazy. And Yeah, I am worried, but I try. What I have to do now is though, so I don't worry about what's going on, because if I worry about it, that's stressful, and
Boom.
that's the worst thing to do. So if you can change the things you can change, you can do the things you can do. If you look at it, 15-minute cities, chemtrails and all that, it's quite horrendous, and they are slowly poisoning us, or trying to. But if you just be happy and try and live your life as best you can, that's all you can do. That's the best you can do. I go out a lot. I party a lot. I'm out. I'm going to the Arctic in
The Arctic?
Yeah, I'm going to the Arctic. I'm doing everything I want to do.
Why are you going to the Arctic?
Because I want to see the Northern Lights. Because I was in bed asleep when they came here. I was asleep.
It was so weird.
Did you see them?
No, I didn't. But that's a bit random. Like, why would we get Northern Lights here?
I don't know that they were the Northern Lights properly. I think there was something else. I'm not actually sure about that. I don't know about those things. But the Northern Lights, I want to go to there and see them. I want to go on the Huskies and see the reindeers, and I just would like to see it, and
live your life.
Live my life. Yeah, my best life. I'm living it, and going to Vietnam the week before.
So that's a nice contrast, kind of temperature difference.
Yeah, my kids said I should have gone to Arctic and then Vietnam, which is probably right, but it didn't work out that way, because I'm going to meet my son with my grandson over in Vietnam, because they live in Australia. Probably a very good move living in Australia, I should imagine. I think it's probably better lifestyle over there.
In Australia, but with all those lockdowns.
No. In the lockdown, it was horrendous, I think.
But they still have mandates and crazy things. Yeah.
I don't know about Australia. Just it's sunny though, isn't it?
It makes a difference, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Honestly, this cold grey weather is so depressing.
I don't think we get good weather.
Did we have any summer this year?
No, I think that was a bit engineered, to be fair. I think it's just stop us growing things, But I did try, and I got beautiful tomatoes, so I grow things now, and I'm chilled. I grow things. I go out. I live my life. I go to things, plays. I do not watch the news, and I do not watch TV.
That's a secret, I think.
Yeah.
Switch off from mainstream media. Switch off from their junk. I love your positive attitude, by the way. This is what it's all about.
Yeah.
And what you described as stoicism, worry about the things you can actually worry and control. And that doesn't mean you don't care about things and you don't try actively. Do things, but don't despair. Oh my God, they're coming to get us, and whatever. We can resist. There's lots of different ways of resisting, and one of them is being happy.
Exactly.
And joyful.
Exactly.
Because they want you to be fearful and depressed and suppressed.
Yeah.
And don't give it to them.
No, you mustn't. Because it's very easy to manipulate you. Because I listened to one of the podcasts with the guy with the behavioural... Oh, he was so cool.
Jason Christoph.
Yeah. The behavioural psychology stuff was wow. Because it's like fear porn, they pump the fear into you. So, for an example, this week, we have a WhatsApp group in our street, and there's been 3 women attacked on our street this week. Yeah. And
what?
then, apparently they've caught the guy and he had mental health issues or something. Anyway, and then after that, there's been another 2 and then another suspected one. So it's but then I'm coming home and I'm like, oh God, I'm a bit scared. But no, I'm not going to succumb to it. I have some, it's very easy to get that fear. Sucked into that fear. And I've got to, I was get my son to meet me at the car because I'm a bit scared. But no, I mustn't be scared, because that could happen anywhere. And, it could happen. I live in Twickenham. It's nice in Twickenham, and it's, least likely to happen in Twickenham. But, you've got to kind of move away from all that, everybody telling you all the negative stuff. And it's so easy. That one thing has affected me this week, and it's rubbish, really. But you've got to kind of rise above it. Don't let the fear. Don't be crippled with fear. Live your life. You've got to do it.
I love it.
Yeah.
That is it. Right. Listen.
Yeah.
Final question.
Okay.
Of the day.
Okay.
You've almost answered it, but let's hear it. So on your deathbed, before you pass away and meet your maker, what wisdom are you going to give, if you haven't already given it to your 7 kids and your grandchildren, your 7 boys? My goodness. What words of wisdom are you going to impart in them?
Well, I would say to them, you've got to live your life every day like it's the last day and go out there and be happy and just spread the happiness.
I love it. Go out and party.
Yeah.
You're
Indeed.
You're still a party girl.
I am. Well, I did with the cancer and the detox thing on the cancer, when I stopped the HRT, I did actually take something called, I'm just going to move this a bit, andrographis, which was a herbal remedy. I took that religiously because I Googled that. But I also stopped working and went out, had oysters, went to see Blur, went to parties, had a big, had massive 3-week party time and just chilled. I worked a lot. I worked a lot, too much. And I just went, I'm not working. I'm giving it up. And I'm like, just going out. And then the cancer's died. So it's like,
Oh, wow.
I don't know. I don't know what killed the cancer. I cannot tell you to this day what it was. But I think the positive, go out, live your life is the thing.
I think you're right. That positive attitude, makes a huge difference because it's that whole stress axis as well. You're doing the opposite of stress. Stress is what feeds the cancer.
Exactly.
And you're not giving it the stress. You're not feeding it.
No, you don't feed it. Also, this thing, what you were saying about this fasting. I haven't actually got onto the fasting yet. I did do 24 hours, but I am working on that bit.
It's good.
Slowly. I know it's good. I've listened to it. I've read all about it, but I'm like, it's hard. Oh God.
Slowly.
Yeah, slowly.
Once you get into it, it's easy.
Okay.
It's not hard.
I'm gonna try it.
But you do it slowly.
Yeah.
Don't just suddenly go to 1 meal a day. Too much. It's like saying, no one ever just runs a marathon. You train. You do it slowly.
Okay.
Maybe marathon's a bad idea. But say, for example, running 5K or 10K. There's a reason why they say couch to 5K. You can't go from the couch to suddenly running 5K. It's just slowly. You do it gradually. And slowly build it up. Then suddenly it's like, yeah, to 5K, not a problem.
That's the best thing to do. Yeah. I think I will try and do that. So I tried to stop eating in the evening. The problem is I like a cup of tea. Love a cup of tea.
Have a black one.
Yeah. Well, so I was going to try it with lemon. Am I allowed with lemon in it? I think maybe. Glass of lemon, no. Tea. Can I have just tea then? Just herbal tea then?
Just herbal tea.
Okay.
Like a rhubarb tea or something like that.
Oh, I like rhubarb. That's good.
That's fine.
I can do that.
Like a warm drink. I get that.
I need the light, I don't know.
I know, it's a cozy comfort thing.
It's just it's a routine thing. You get up, you have to have a drink. You go to bed.
Have a rhubarb.
Rhubarb, that's what I do.
Sweet, done.
Yeah, need something with some flavour. The water's nice, but I need a bit of something.
Yeah, I'm like you. I need to do that as well.
Yeah.
Habit, ritual.
It's a ritual, isn't it? You got to get into patterns and things, But you got to get out of those patterns.
Listen, can I just say something? Thank you for coming.
That's okay.
Thank you for sharing your experiences. Thank you for the kefir.
It's okay.
Thanks for being a supporter.
Yeah, love it. I love it. My friend's a supporter as well.
Well, thank you to do a shout out to your friend. Who's your friend?
Jules Norwood. She loves it.
No, I mean that because you know what it's like, and it's like when your supporters are special. They're like the tribe.
They are the tribe, yeah. And you've got quite a big tribe, I think now. I think it's getting bigger.
I hear that. People tell me.
It is.
And I'm like, really?
Yeah.
Honestly? I don't know.
It is getting bigger, and it's brilliant, and you are brilliant, and you're very vocal with it's very interesting to listen to you rather than listening to some other people just a bit monotonous. Huberman, he's a bit boring, really. I listen to Huberman, but he's boring and it's like the same thing, and some of them are good, but you are very good at this. You may have been a good surgeon, but you're very good at podcasts.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, yeah.
I appreciate that. The imposter syndrome in me is screaming. Because you've seen my life, I'm here. Like, I don't hear or see people outside, or I don't I just get the feedback from you and people who email me, and
it's great. It's actually fantastic.
I'm doing it for these guys.
I think that is the best thing to do for the children. Always, that's the next generation. You've got to look out for the next generation. And that's why I just think you've got to be a bit careful, for these children I see it I go to lots of schools. So peripatetic means I go loads of places. I see those children change after their vaccinations. I see it.
What do you mean?
I see it. So I'll go into school and I'm dancing with them. So I'll be just doing some little Makaton. So I do sign language. So Makatons for speech and language delay. Well, I don't remember there being much speech and language delay when I was younger, but, you know, I was young, can't remember. But we do things, and I've got children, 1-year-old, you know, coming up, you know, 14 months or whatever, and they're dancing away and they're doing very clever things, you know, roly-polies and sign language, you know, like cat, this is cat. And they do these things and they can follow you. Then a couple of weeks later, I can't 100% because I don't know them say that it's the vaccination, but I see these children switch off. And it's like, this child was dancing and really great and really good. And now they're not doing anything, sitting in a corner for, sometimes they sit there 3 to 6 months and just suck their blankets or whatever. And then, you know, they then come out of that. So they may come out of that, whatever's happened to them. Maybe it's the toxins or something. But then some of them don't come back out of that, you know. Some of them remain like this shell of a child that used to used to be.
Listen, this is making me really sad hearing.
It's really sad. And I see it a lot because, so one of the other things I do is a bit of security at times. And so we do like these performances, like for assisted performances for people with difficulties. It's heartbreaking to watch them, you know, with their autism and they're like swaying and it just breaks my heart. I mean, I know when I was at school, I didn't know anyone that had autism when I was at school. And they go, it's better diagnosis. That's a load of rubbish.
It's such a load of bullshit. It's the ultimate in gaslighting.
It's like, no, it's not better diagnosis. What a load of rubbish, you know, honestly. I just think, you know, you get these children, like why are these children rocking and like, oh, honestly, and they're going to be a problem.
I see it at the school drop-off. Kids that should be running around are in a pushchair.
Yeah.
Like they're 4 or 5 years old now.
Yeah.
And they're just like vacant.
Yeah.
Mums are pushing them in a chair or they've got an iPad or something. And, you know, they're just on the screen. And I went up to a mum once. I shouldn't have said anything. I just said, do you know, I've just done a podcast with someone and they said screens are really bad for children's development. And I knew her, you know, like our kids have been going to the same school now in nursery for like 3-4 years. And we say hello all the time. How are you doing? Kind of thing. You know, that kind of thing. We're not friends, but polite and friendly. And I just said, you know, I've got my kids off screens and I thought I should tell you it's like really bad for the development. She kind of got really, you could tell she was like on edge. And she goes, my son's got autism. He needs the screen. Otherwise, he gets very upset. And then at the same time, she's feeding him total garbage.
Yeah.
Crisps, sweets, lollies, you know, those little drumstick, you know, like just garbage. You know, he's just always eating garbage and watching the screen. And he's just like
switched
overweight, zoned out. And I'm like, this is not right.
It's not right.
And it's not just him. There's other kids, the boys in particular. I don't know why.
Estrogen.
But they're no, I don't know what it is. They're just clumsy.
Yeah.
Like my little boy's running around and he's hipping and skipping and hopping and these kids are just like fumbling and there's something not there.
So I can tell you that for sure.
And it makes me sad.
So I used to teach at a school in Ealing, after school club. And I used to teach mums, this is a while back, I used to teach mums and children dancing, like 2-year-olds, and we'd sing and dance and we do the hokey go, whatever, you know. But we do like a bit of pop tunes and whatever. So the school said, come in and do after school club. So I did. The children in the junior school are so unfit that they couldn't keep up with the mums. So that the same thing that I did with the mums, the children under 10s could not do. And it's like, they can't do the physical exercise. It's like they can't run. They were all slightly overweight and really shocking. Some of them had diabetes. I mean, it's like, They're so unfit, the unfittest generation I've seen. And I was shocked by the fact that they couldn't do what their 40-year-old mums can't do, or can do, and they can't do it. It's shocking. It's shocking.
What are we doing?
Don't know.
It's so sad.
Shocking.
Everyone listening in this beautiful tribe, take care of your children and your grandchildren. The best way to fight the evil bastards is to look after your kids and make sure they're as healthy and as fit and as possible, because they are the future. And when everyone around them is sick and diabetic and whatever, you know what? They'll be the ones that will be shaping this future. You know, that's why I've got hope.
Yeah.
You know, because, you know, even the evil people, I actually think a lot of them buy into their own bullshit.
Oh, they do, yeah.
No, honestly, like a lot of them are taking the jab and eating the garbage, and they're drinking the Kool-Aid. They are absolutely bonkers mad. Great. Well, you carry on doing that, and your children. And you know what? Our children, they'll build the future. It'll be their world.
Yeah. It will be. It will.
It's a good place to end.
Yeah.
God bless you.
Yeah. God bless everybody.
All right.
Keep supporting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I, Ahmed Malik, am a private civilian protected by the Geneva Convention. My Substack, social media posts and podcasts are my personal experiences, observations and opinions. This information is for educational purposes only. Although I am a doctor, I am not your doctor, and I am not providing medical or legal advice to you or to the wider public. I am not licensed or registered with the GMC or any other licensing board. The responsibility for the interpretation, due diligence and use of the information from my Substack and my podcast lies with you, the viewer and or listener. Please do your research and use your discernment. It is not my intention to harass, intimidate, offend, defame, conspire, blackmail, coerce, or cause anxiety, alarm or distress to any man or woman, and the information presented here is done so with peaceful and honourable intentions. Enjoy, folks.